Welcome to Talk Art. I'm Sally Rain, and I will be your host as we delve into the world of the artist and the art that's all around us. Talk Art is sponsored by the Silicon Valley Open Studios. During the first 3 weekends in May, hundreds of local artists open their studios to the public. For more information, you can go to the website svos.org. Our guest, Helen Young, is an oil painter who paints beautiful, lifelike portraits based on her experiences traveling around the world. So welcome, Helen.
Thank you, Sally, for having me here.
So you're here to demonstrate your painting process, and you're actually going to paint the beginnings of a portrait of me while we sit and we chat about your art.
Yes. So for the next 20 minutes or so, I will be doing an underpainting of you, and it will be monochromatic. There's not going to be a lot of colors. And then we'll talk about art.
Okay, well, get started. Let's see how it goes.
Let's go.
So tell us a little bit about your setup.
This is what I normally take on a plein air painting, and that means painting outdoors. I have a tripod, and this little handy box is called Gorilla Box, and holds all of my supplies, and everything is within reach. And I normally would go with the limited palette, and right here, if we can see this, I have titanium white, yellow ochre, raw sienna, burnt sienna, and burnt amber. So that's the only colors that I'll be using today.
So the underpainting is sort of a brownish color, right?
Yes, I use a brownish because you have a beautiful color hair, the blonde hair, and you know, a lot of our skin tones are kind of has a lot of the reddish from the sienna colors, and I use also use the burnt amber for the shadow areas. It's kind of a darker shade, and this will be focusing in the first step. I would just focusing on the drawing of your face rather than getting all the colors correct. A lot of people may not know that when you're drawing someone, you have to draw proportionally, and all the values have to be in the right places so that the colors can build on top of that.
So you're looking at, is the lighting important?
Yes, the lighting is very important, and usually when painting in the studio with a model, I would set up just exactly like how we have set up here, and it's called 3/4 light. And you're going to be, the light will come from not front of your face, but from the side view, and so that we can see all of the facial features with great value around it.
I'm trying to sit still, but I'm not very good at it. So where did you learn to paint? You must have a lot of education to make everything so perfect.
Oh, I try to be perfect. It's not always perfect, but my parents are both artists. They're art professors from China. I grew up on an art university campus. The Luxury Academy of Fine Arts is one of the oldest art schools in China.
Wow.
So for my undergraduate study, I studied at the same school where my parents taught, and my major was in oil painting. And then after I came to the U.S., I got a degree in marketing, worked in the high tech for a few years. And then I feel like this is my calling. This is what I love to do, painting, beautiful people and have a talk about art.
So what kind of brush are you using over there?
This is called Raphael Paris. It's a bristle brush. So a lot of these, they come in different sizes, and I prefer using the flats. Some people I know prefer to use a rounded tip called filbert, or some people might prefer, different types of brushes. But I use a lot of flat brushes in my paintings.
So when you paint a full painting, not just the portrait like you are now, how do you go about deciding what to paint? Do you paint outside? Do you paint in the studio? How does that work for you?
I enjoy traveling. I think that every time I go travel somewhere, I meet wonderful people, and I feel that this world can be so much peaceful if we all see the beauty um, within each and every one in this world. So I really, enjoy doing meeting with different people, and I think later we're going to show some of my um, paintings from my Yunnan trip and Tibet trip.
So do your paintings start plein air and then move into the studio, or what's your process for that?
Yeah, when I go plein air painting, I typically just, paint whatever I see that I find interesting. Sometimes it could be landscapes. Sometimes if I'm lucky enough to have somebody volunteer to sit as a model for, let's say, a couple hours, I'll do that. But most of the time, I would just take as much photos as I can and then paint while I'm there, because it's a great way to actually meet the local people when painting outdoors. And even if I'm just working on landscape painting, sometimes the people come up to me and they watch, and I get to meet with them.
So you don't seem to be measuring or anything. Can you just see it by eye?
I I try to see it by eye, and the wonderful. I think some people try to be as precise as they can when they first start painting. I just kind of go. I mean, our facial features are typically follow the same proportions. Usually for adult eyes are usually in halfway on the face. And then from the bottom of the chin to the tip of your nose, and from the nose to the eyebrow, and from eyebrow to the hairline, they're about equal sizes. So I kind of use the general proportions as a guideline. And then, when I paint, I just try to capture that moment. And sometimes I hopefully it will look as beautiful as you are in person. We'll see.
Try not to laugh. So I see you're wearing a glove. What is that for?
I use this medium. I actually don't use a lot of terpenoids, as you may know, that a lot of the painting mediums can have a little bit toxic in it, and so I just trying to keep my hands clean and also keep it not as toxic.
What kind of medium do you use?
This medium I use is called G-gel, and it dries the oil paint fairly fast, so it's a fast drying medium.
Oh. Do you still use the terpenoids when you wash your brushes?
I do. I use it primarily just for washing my brushes, and sometimes I may use it a little bit in the underpainting, but nowadays, I rarely use it. Mostly just the G-gel, because it's so easy. It's solid. It looks like, paint from the tube. So it's much easier to carry around when I have to go through, airport and no spilling.
Right. And there's no smell.
Yes, isn't that wonderful? Some people do like the terpenoid smell, though.
Not me.
Good. Then I brought the right thing here.
So tell me what's going on. I can't see.
So now I kind of just blocked in the shadows of one side of your face. And then I'm using the board. I have a canvas board here. This is the double oil primed canvas board. So I'm leaving the white on the board as the highlights of your face. And I'm using the medium to just blend the paint on the canvas board to build up the various details, midtones in your face. Sometimes it can be hard to paint and talk at the same time, but I'll try.
Probably harder to paint my shadows when they keep moving.
That's okay.
So it sounds like you're mostly just painting the shadows, the values from light to dark.
Yes.
And not doing details?
Yes, I'm trying to build up the form so that as I goes from dark to light, I try to paint a little bit thinly in the shadow areas, and then later on, if I were to add more colors, we're not going to show that today, but later on, if I were to try to finish this painting, I would start building up more layers on the lighter side and add more colors to it.
So what are some of the challenges that you face when you're painting? Are there particular people that have been really difficult to paint? Or expressions that are difficult?
There's one painting that I had a little bit hard time, and I tried so hard trying to capture a Tibetan girl's face when I was painting in Yunnan province, and I was painting landscape paintings, and she came with her parents to that same village where I was painting. And she just has that stern look on her face, which is so rare. I find it so rare to see, on such a young child. And in my paintings, I try to capture that look, and I call it girl power. She looks like she could weather any storm that life, that she might encounter in life.
So while you're painting, you brought some photographs of a portrait that you did that shows the process from the beginning to the end. So why don't we show those while you're working on my painting? So there's one.
So that's the beginning stage where I just sketched the facial features. And you can see the outlines and for the face, and also treating the shadows in one single mass, trying to develop the light and the dark. And there I started adding some colors to the lighter side of the face. But there's still not a lot of details. And working on the the faces, trying to blend from the shadow area transition to the lighter side. A lot of the details is actually in the midtones, because the lighter side of our face, the light kind of diminish some of the details. And then in the shadow side, because it's in the shadow, we can't see very well. So most of the details are going to be in the midtone areas.
How many colors do you use? It looks like you're using quite a few, even though she is fair with fair hair.
I typically use about 15 colors.
Wow.
I have just about every color in the rainbow. I even have 2 different purple colors, and sometimes even 3 different purple colors. I use all of the 3 primary colors, all of the 3 secondary colors, and then sometimes I may even have multiples of that. For example, if I use yellow, I could have lemon yellow and cadmium yellow. One is a cooler yellow and one is a warmer yellow. And same thing for all the other colors. And plus white.
So do you mix the colors more on your palette or on the canvas, or kind of both?
I mixed most of the colors on the palette.
So how far along or do you think this painting will get? You're going to finish the...
I would like to at least finish the underpainting if we can. So now I'm just working. I have blocked in the shadows, and now I'm just really trying to define the details of all those wonderful shades in the mid-tone area of your face. And some people like to paint starting from the eyes. Some people like to start from the nose area because, you know, if you're painting landscape painting, the perspective, it could be miles away. But when you're painting a person, the area on the face that has the most perspective, atmosphere perspective, will be from the nose to the cheekbones. So a lot of people prefer to get the nose in there so that they could establish that relationship.
Where do you start?
It's different every time, actually, for me. Sometimes I start with the nose if I feel that. Sometimes I just start with the eyes. I feel that, you know, eyes are just the window to our souls, and you have a wonderful, you know, beautiful eyes. And so I might go back and work on that area a little bit more. But still at this stage, I don't want to get too much detail. I'm mainly just focusing on the different planes rather than, you know, specific facial features.
It's interesting to think of a face having planes. Is that just based on the shadows and the values of it?
Yes, is the form, is how the face, the nose the turns, or the shape of our eyes. You know, if you think of our eyes as a sphere, and if light hits from one side, you're going to see some wonderful light areas, but you're also going to see some shadows. So it helps to define the facial features, the anatomies and the constructions, the forms of the face. And I use 2 different types of brushes. The bristle brush is great for adding more brush strokes, and this brush is called Eclipse. It's from Winsor Newton, and it's very soft, so it's good for blending and also good for building layers when I paint wet on wet. So if the underpainting is still a little bit wet and I try to add more layers to it, it's good to use a softer brush so that I don't pick up too much of the underpainting colors.
With this the medium that you use, the G gel, how long does it take for a layer to dry if it's not too thick?
It takes just about 3 hours or so.
Oh.
Usually I would start painting in the morning and then go for paint for about 3 hours to go for a lunch break. And then when I come back, the paint, the surface of the paint is somewhat dry so that I can build more layers and more colors into it.
Okay, so are you almost done with the underlayer? Because we have paintings to show that have completed. So tell me a little bit about where you are now and what you might do to finish the underlayer.
Sure. I just have this blocked in most of the shadows of the face, and I started to define the lighter areas of the face, and I put in a little bit titanium white mixed with a little bit yellow ochre. And then for the midtones, I use a lot of the G gels mixed in with some of these colors. Let me just wipe some of these lines that under painting the guidelines. So you can see, usually I do draw a straight line on around the eyes just to make sure the eyes are leveled. And then I would do a more vertical line, but it's because our face is more like an egg shape, so I usually don't do a straight line. I just do a curved line to show the how the head is turning. And then so I had a little bit of that line on your chin,
Looks like
on your chin,
that's
so I'm
great.
going to wipe that off.
Well, let's take a look at some of your completed paintings that have all the layers done. You can tell us a little bit about where they came from.
Yes. I'm going to just paint away. And oh, there I am painting outdoors in Yunnan province. And you can see the locals came to watch what I was doing. And when I got back, and I said, I should paint the local people rather than the landscape. I think that would make such a wonderful picture.
That's a great picture. Oh,
this is the Tibetan girl that I was telling you about. And look at her face. She's just so full of a character.
And the background is so dramatic.
I did took my artistic license and changed the background a little bit. I feel that, behind her you can see it's more of a clear sky, and then, she's facing whatever the storm might be coming. And I hope that someday when she looks back at her life that she sees that wonderful things that have happened.
Beautiful.
And this is from up in the Yunnan province, up in the mountains. And she really took my husband and I in and made food for us. They don't really have a lot, mainly just potatoes and corns. But she really just bending over and cooking. They don't have a stove. You can see the wooden sticks that she used to lit the fire. And I just think this is a universal mother's love, how, mothers are always trying to cook food for people and for us visitors, strangers in her home.
Beautiful. This
one is from Tibet. It's from a painting trip. I actually painted this man's face when I was there. And then I also took some photographs of him sitting. So when I got back home, I thought that, his face alone didn't really do justice. That environment is so interesting as well. The year I went to Tibet is when the train was connected all the way to Lhasa from China. And so there's a lot of changes. And so I feel that he's probably contemplating, what changes are good and what changes may not be so good. And this is another Tibetan picture. I just love the light shining on that little boy's face. And I call this one prayers.
And on the mother's hair and reflecting on her face. Wow.
Yeah.
You do have a really nice touch with light. So is that from a photograph that you...
That one is from a photograph. The the sunlight in Tibet is very harsh, so you get really strong light and shadow.
Wow, those are beautiful paintings.
Well, thank you, Sally.
So you are a Silicon Valley Open Studios artist,
Yes.
are you not? So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about your SVOS experience.
I have just been involved for about a year with the Silicon Valley Open Studios. I help to organize, put up some of the art shows throughout our local Bay Area. And you know, it's been a wonderful experience. I get to meet all kinds of wonderful visual art artists, sculptors, painters. So I just love it, and I feel that this has such a great sense of a community to be connected to other artists in our local area.
I agree. I've met some wonderful people with SVOS. So what are some of your future plans for your art?
In my future, I like to do more paintings from my trips, but I would also like to paint here in our backyard. I think there are some wonderful people from all different cultures and backgrounds, and I would like to do that. And we also have a beautiful sceneries in the Bay Area, so you might see me out there with my little setup here and paint plein air paintings.
Yes, it's a beautiful area to paint in. So do you also give lessons? I mean, it sounds like you know what you're talking about.
Oh, yes. I have an art studio called Visionary Arts. There are 2 locations in Campbell and Cupertino, and I teach little kids all the way through adults. And a lot of our students do really well with their visual art development, and some of them have won national and international art awards.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, it's been wonderful sitting here talking with you, and I think what you've done with me so far is beautiful. And thank you so much for being on Talk Art.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.